Hi, this is Home Inspector Dan with BPG Inspections in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm going to read through the Arizona Standards of Professional Practice for Home Inspectors today to give you a better understanding of what's expected out of me during a home inspection and what you can expect out of your home inspector the next time you buy or sell a house. Let's get started. The Arizona chapter of the American Society of Home Inspectors, Standards of Professional Practice for Arizona Home Inspectors, adopted by A.Z. Ashey, effective January 1st, 2002. The Arizona Standards of Practice are adopted from the American Society of Home Inspectors, or ASHI, 1992 Standards of Practice, through the Arizona chapter of the American Society of Home Inspectors, with Arizona-made modifications and amendments. The Arizona Board of Technical Registration gratefully acknowledges the assistance and permission of the American Society of Home Inspectors and the assistance of the American chapter of the American Society of Home Inspectors. Section 1. Introduction. These standards define the practice of home inspection in the state of Arizona. 1.2. These standards of practice shall A. provide inspection guidelines, B. make public the services provided by private fee-paid inspectors. Section 2. Purpose and scope. 2.1. Inspections performed to these standards shall provide the client with a better understanding of the property conditions as observed at the time of the inspection. 2.2. Inspectors shall A. before the inspection report is delivered, enter into a written agreement with the client or their authorized agent that includes 1. the purpose of the inspection, 2. the date of the inspection, 3. the name, address, and certification number of the inspector, 4. the fee for services, 5. a statement that the inspection is performed in accordance with these standards, 6. limitations or exclusions of systems or components inspected. B. Observe readily accessible installed systems and components listed in these standards. C. Submit a written report to the client which shall A. or 1. Describe systems and components identified in sections 4 to 12 of these standards. 2. State which systems and components designated for inspection in these standards have been inspected, and any systems and components designated for inspection in these standards which were present at the time of the inspection and were not inspected, and a reason why they were not inspected. 3. State any systems and components so inspected which were found to be in need of immediate major repair, and any recommendations to correct, monitor, or evaluate by appropriate persons. Section 2.3. These standards are not limited or not intended to limit inspectors from A. reporting observations and conditions in addition to those required in Section 2.2, or B. excluding systems and components from the inspection if requested by the client. Section 3. General limitations and exclusions. 3.1. General limitations. A. Inspections done in accordance with these standards are visual, not technically exhaustive, and will not identify concealed conditions or latent defects. B. These standards are applicable to buildings with 4 or less dwelling units and their garages or carports. Section 3.2. General exclusions. A. Inspectors are not required to report on 1. the life expectancy of any component or system, 2. the causes of the need for a major repair, 3. the methods, material, and costs of corrections, 4. the suitability of the property for any specialized use, 5. compliance or non-compliance with applicable regulatory requirements, 6. the market value of the property or its marketability, 7. the advisability or inadvisability of purchase of the property, 8. any component or system which was not observed, 9. the presence or absence of pests such as wood-damaging organisms, rodents, or insects, 10. cosmetic items, underground items, or items not permanently installed. B. Inspectors are not required to offer warranties or guarantees of any kind. 2. Calculate the strength, adequacy, or efficiency of any system or component. 3. Enter any area or perform any procedure which may damage the property or its components or be dangerous to the inspector or other persons. 4. Operate any system or component which is shut down or otherwise inoperable. 5. Operate any system or component which does not respond to normal operating controls. 6. Disturb insulation, move personal items, furniture, equipment, plant life, soil, snow, ice, or debris which obstructs access or visibility. 7. Determine the presence or absence of any suspected hazardous substance, including but not limited to toxins, fungus, mold spores, carcinogens, noise, contaminants in soil, water, and air. 8. Determine the effectiveness of any system installed to control or remove suspected hazardous substances. 9. Predict future conditions, including but not limited to failure of components. 10. Project operating costs of components. 11. Evaluate acoustical characteristics of any system or component. Section 3.3. Limitations and exclusions specific to individual systems are listed in the following section. Section 4. System structural components. 4.1. The inspector shall observe A. Structural components including 1. Foundation, 2. Floors, 3. Walls, 4. Columns, 5. Ceilings, 6. Roofs. Section 4.2. The inspector shall A. Describe the type of 1. Foundation, 2. Floor structure, 3. Wall structure, 4. Columns, 5. Ceiling structure, 6. Roof structure. B. Probe structural components where deterioration is suspected. However, probing is not required when probing would damage any finished surface. Section C. Enter underfloor crawl spaces and attic spaces except when access is obstructed, when entry could damage the property, or when dangerous or adverse situations are suspected. D. Report the methods used to inspect underfloor crawl spaces and attics. E. Report signs of water penetration into the building or signs of abnormal or harmful condensation on building components. Section 5. The system. Exterior. 5.1. The inspector shall observe A. Wall cladding, flashings, and trim. B. Entryway doors and representative number of windows. C. Garage door operators. D. Decks, balconies, stoops, steps, areaways, and porches including railings. E. Eaves, soffits, and fascia. F. Vegetation, grading, drainage, driveways, patios, walkways, and retaining walls with respect to their effect on the condition of the building. Section 5.2. The inspector shall A. Describe the wall cladding materials. B. Operate all entryway doors and representative number of windows, including garage doors, manually or by using permanently installed controls of any garage door operator. And C. Report whether or not any garage door operator will automatically reverse or stop when meeting reasonable resistance during closing. Section 5.3. The inspector is not required to observe A. Storm windows, storm doors, screening, shutters, awning, and similar seasonal accessories. B. Fences. C. Safety glazing. D. Garage door operator remote control transmitters. E. Geological conditions. F. Soil conditions. G. Recreational facilities. H. Outbuildings other than garages and carports. Section 6. System. Roofing. 6.1. The inspector shall observe A. Roof coverings. B. Roof drainage systems. C. Flashings. D. Skylights, chimneys, and roof penetrations. E. Signs of leaks or abnormal condensation on building components. 6.2. The inspector shall A. Describe the type of roof covering materials, and B. Report the methods used to inspect the roofing. Section 6.3. The inspector is not required to walk on the roofing. B. Observe attached accessories, including but not limited to solar systems, antennas, and lightning arresters. Section 7, System, Plumbing. The inspector shall observe A. Interior water supply and distribution system, including 1. Piping materials, including supports and insulation. 2. Fixtures and faucets. 3. Functional flow. 4. Leaks. And 5. Cross-contaminations. The inspector shall also observe the interior drain, waste, and vent system, including the traps, drain, waste, and vent piping, piping supports, and pipe insulation. 2. Leaks, and 3. Functional drainage. The hot water system, including hot water equipment, normal operating controls, 3. Automatic safety controls, and 4. Chimneys, flues, and vents for the water heater. Section D, the fuel storage and distribution systems, including the interior fuel storage equipment, supply piping, venting, and supports, and also if any leaks are occurring. We're also required to check the sub pumps. Section 7.2, the inspector shall A. Describe the water supply and distribution piping materials, describe the drain, waste, and vent piping materials. 3. The water heating equipment. Section B, operate all plumbing fixtures, including their faucets, and all exterior faucets attached to the house. Section 7.3, the inspector is not required to A. State the effectiveness of anti-siphon devices. B. Determine whether water supply and water waste disposal systems are public or private. C. Operate automatic safety controls. D. Operate any valve except water closet flush valves, fixture faucets, and hose faucets. E. Observe the following. 1. Water conditioning systems. 2. Fire and lawn sprinkling systems. 3. On-site water supply quantity and quality. 4. On-site waste disposal systems. 5. Foundation irrigation systems. And 6. Spas, except as to functional flow and functional drainage. Section 8, the system, electrical. Section 8.1, the inspector shall observe A. Service entrance conductors. B. Service equipment, grounding equipment, main overcurrent device, main and distribution panels. C. Amperage and voltage ratings of the service. D. Branch circuit conductors, their overcurrent devices, and the compatibility of their ampacities and voltages. E. The operation of a representative number of installed lighting fixtures, switches, and receptacles located inside the house, garage, and on its exterior walls. F. The polarity and grounding of all receptacles within 6 feet of interior plumbing fixtures and all receptacles in the garage or carport and on the exterior of inspected structures. G. The operation of all ground fault circuit interrupters. Section 8.2, the inspector shall A. Describe the 1. Service amperage and voltage. 2. Service entry conductor materials. 3. Service type as being overhead or underground. 4. Location of main and distribution panels. B. The report should report any observed aluminum branch circuit wiring. Section 8.3, the inspector is not required to A. Insert any tool, probe, or testing device inside the panels. B. Test or operate any overcurrent device except ground fault interrupters. C. Dismantle any electrical device or control other than to remove covers of the main and auxiliary distribution panels. D. Observe the following. 1. Low voltage systems. 2. Smoke detectors. 3. Telephone security, cable, TV, intercoms, or other ancillary wiring that is not part of the primary electrical distribution system. Section 9, heating. The inspector shall observe A. Permanently installed heating systems, including 1. Heating equipment. 2. Normal operating controls. 3. Automatic safety controls. 4. Chimney, flues, and vents. 5. Solid fuel heating devices. 6. Heat distribution systems, including fans, pumps, ducts, and piping, with supports, dampers, insulation, air filters, registers, radiators, fan coil units, convectors. And 7. The presence of an installed heat source in each room. The inspector shall A, describe 1, the energy source, and 2, the heating equipment and distribution type. Shall also describe and operate the system using normal operating controls and open readily openable access panels provided by the manufacturer or installer for routine homeowner maintenance. Section 9.3. The inspector is not required to operate heating systems when weather conditions or other circumstances may cause equipment damage. B, operate automatic safety controls. C, ignite or extinguish solid fuel fires. Or D, observe the following: 1, the interior of flues. 2, fireplace insert flue connections. 3, humidifiers. 4, electronic air filters. 5, the uniformity or adequacy of heat supply to the various rooms. Section 10, System, Central Air Conditioning. 10.1. The inspector shall observe A, central air conditioning including 1, cooling and air handling equipment. 2, normal operating controls. B, distribution systems including 1, fans, pumps, ducts and piping with supports, dampers, insulation, air filters, registers, and fan coil units, or the presence of an installed cooling source in each room. The inspector shall describe energy sources, cooling equipment type. B, operate the system using normal operating controls. And C, open readily openable access panels provided by the manufacturer or installer for routine homeowner maintenance. Section 10.3. The inspector is not required to operate the cooling system when weather conditions or other circumstances may cause equipment damage. B, observe non-central air conditioners. Or C, observe the uniformity or adequacy of cool air supply to the various rooms. Section 11. Systems, Interiors. 11.1. The inspector shall observe A, walls, ceilings, and floors. B, steps, stairways, balconies, and railings. C, counters and a representative number of cabinets. D, a representative number of doors and windows. E, separation walls, ceilings, and doors between a dwelling unit and an attached garage or other dwelling unit. And F, sumps. 11.2. The inspector shall A, operate a representative number of primary windows and interior doors, and B, report signs of water penetration into the building or signs of abnormal or harmful condensation on building components. Section 11.3. The inspector is not required to observe A, paint, wallpaper, or other finish treatments on the interior wall, ceilings, or floors. B, carpeting. C, draperies, blinds, or other window treatments. D, household appliances. Or E, recreational facilities or another dwelling unit. Section 12. System, Insulation and Ventilation. 12.1. The inspector shall observe A, insulation and vapor retarders in unfinished spaces. B, ventilation of attics and foundation areas. C, kitchen, bathroom, and laundry venting systems. Section 12.2. The inspector shall describe A, the insulation and vapor retarders in unfinished spaces, and B, the absence of same in unfinished space at conditioned surfaces. Section 12.3. The inspector is not required to report on A, concealed insulation vapor retarders, or B, venting equipment which is integral with household appliances. Now to go over some of these terms in the glossary, we're going to look at automatic safety controls, are devices designated and installed to protect systems and components from high or low pressures and temperatures, electrical current, loss of water, loss of ignition, fuel leaks, fire, freezing, or other unsafe conditions. Central air conditioning is a system which uses ducts to distribute cooled or dehumidified air to more than one room, or uses pipes to distribute chilled water to heat exchangers in more than one room, and that is not plugged into an electrical convenience outlet. The client is just a customer who contracts with a home inspector for a home inspection. A component is a readily accessible and observable aspect of a system, such as a floor or a wall, but not individual pieces such as boards or nails, where many similar pieces make up the system. A cross connection is any physical connection or arrangement between potable water and any source of contamination. Dangerous or adverse situations. Situations which pose a threat of injury to the inspectors, and those situations that require the use of special protective clothing or safety equipment. Describe. Report in writing a system or component by its type or other observed characteristics to distinguish it from other components used for the same purpose. Dismantle, to take apart or remove any component, device, or piece of equipment which is bolted, screwed, or fastened by other means and that would not be taken apart or removed by a homeowner in the course of normal household maintenance. Engineering is any professional service or creative work requiring education, training, and experience and the application of special knowledge of the mathematical, physical, and engineering sciences. Evaluation by appropriate persons. Examination, analysis, and analysis by a qualified professional, tradesman, or service technician beyond that provided by the home inspector. Functional drainage is a drain is functional when it empties in a reasonable amount of time and does not overflow when another fixture is drained simultaneously. Functional flow is the reasonable flow at the highest fixture in a dwelling when another fixture is operated simultaneously. Immediate major repair is a major defect which is not quickly addressed and will likely do any of the following, which is 1. Worsen appreciably, 2. Cause further damage, or 3. Be a serious hazard to health and or serious safety. Immediate major repair. A major defect which, if not quickly addressed, will be likely to do any of the following. 1. Worsen appreciably, 2. Cause further damage, or 3. Be a serious hazard to health and or personal safety. An inspector is a person certified as a home inspector by the Arizona Board of Technical Registration. Installed means attached or connected such that the installed item requires tools for removal. Major defect is a system or component that is unsafe or not functioning. Normal operating controls are homeowner-operated devices such as a thermostat, wall switch, or safety switch. Observe means the act of making a visual examination of a system or component and reporting on its condition. On-site water supply quality is the water quality is based on the bacterial, chemical, mineral, and solid content of the water. On-site water supply quantity is the water quantity is the rate of flow of water at the property. Primary windows and doors. Windows and or exterior doors which are designated or which are designed to remain in their respective openings year-round. Readily accessible is available for visual inspection without requiring moving of personal property, dismantling, destructive measures, or any action that will likely involve risk to persons or property. Readily openable access panels, a panel provided for homeowner inspection and maintenance that has removable or openable fasteners or latch devices in order to be lifted off, swung open, or otherwise removed by one person, and its edges and fasteners are not painted in place. Limited to those panels within normal reach or from a 4-foot stepladder, and which are not blocked by stored items, furniture, or building components. Recreational facilities. Spas, saunas, steam baths, swimming pools, tennis courts, playground equipment, and other exercise, entertainment, or athletic facilities. Representative number means for multiple identical components such as windows and electrical outlets, the inspection of one such component per room. For multiple identical exterior components, the inspection of one such component on each side of the building. Roof drainage systems includes gutters, downspouts, leaders, splash blocks, and similar components used to carry water off a roof and away from a building. Safety glazing is the tempered glass, laminated glass, or rigid plastic. Shutdown is a piece of equipment whose safety switch or circuit breaker is in the off position, or its fuse is missing or blown, or a system that cannot be operated by the device or control that a homeowner should normally use to operate it. Solid fuel heating device is any wood, coal, or other similar organic fuel burning device, including but not limited to fireplaces, whether masonry or factory built, fireplace inserts and stoves, wood stoves or room heaters, central furnaces, and a combination of these devices. Structural component is a component that supports non-variable forces or weights, dead loads, and variable forces or weights, live loads. For purposes of this definition, a dead load is the fixed weight of a structure or piece of equipment, such as a roof structure on bearing walls, and a live load is a moving variable weight added to the dead load or intrinsic weight of a structure. A system is a combination of interacting or interdependent components assembled to carry out one or more function. Technically exhaustive is an inspection. Technically exhaustive is when an inspection is technically exhaustive when it involves the use of measurements, instruments, testing, calculations, and other means to develop scientific or engineering findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Underfloor crawl space is the area within the confines of the foundation and between the ground and the underside of the lowest floor structural component. Unsafe means a condition in a readily accessible installed system or component which is judged to be a significant risk of personal injury during normal day-to-day use. The risk may be due to damage, deterioration, improper installation, or changes in adopted residential construction standards. Now, this should give you a good idea of what a home inspector can and can't do, or should and shouldn't do. They can always go above the standards of practice. They should never fall below. Now that we went through the home inspection standards of practice, let's take a look at the pool and spa inspection standards in the state of Arizona. The Arizona Pool and Spa Standards are adopted from the American Society of Home Inspector Standards of Professional Practice for residential swimming pool and spa inspections, with Arizona-made modifications and amendments authorized by the Board of Directors of the Arizona chapter of the American Society of Home Inspectors, when adopted by this chapter on March 11th, 2011. What did a lawyer write this? The Arizona Board of Technical Registration gratefully acknowledges the assistance of the American Society of Home Inspectors and the permission of the Arizona chapter of the American Society of Home Inspectors. Get over yourselves already. Standards of professional practice. Section 1, Introduction. 1.1. These standards define the practice of swimming pool and spa inspections in the state of Arizona. 1.2. These standards of practice A, provide inspection guidelines, and B, will make public the services provided by private fee-paid inspectors. 2. Purpose and scope. 2.1. Inspections performed to these standards shall provide the client with a better understanding of the swimming pool and spa conditions as observed at the time of the inspection. A. These standards apply only to swimming pools and spas installed at a property with a single-family residential structure. B. Swimming pool and spa is defined as a contained body of water that is 18 inches or more in depth at any point, and this is intended for swimming or immersion. Sections 2.2. Inspectors shall A. Observe readily accessible installed systems and components listed in these standards. B. Submit a written report to the client which shall 1. Observe and describe systems and components identified in Section 3 of these standards. 2. State which systems and components designated for inspection in these standards have been inspected, and any systems and components designated for inspection in these standards which were present at the time of the inspection and were not inspected, and a reason why they were not inspected. 3. State any systems and components so inspected which were found to be in need of immediate major repair, and any recommendations to correct, monitor, or further evaluate by appropriate persons. Sections 2.3. These standards are not intended to limit inspectors from A. reporting observations and conditions in addition to those required in Sections 2.2. That's going above and beyond the scope. Section B. Excluding systems and components from the inspection if requested by the client. Number 3. Swimming pool and spa. 3.1. The inspector shall observe A. The interior finished material. B. Decks, steps, and coping. C. Pumps, motors, blowers, skimmer, filter, drains, heaters, automatic safety controls, gauges, visible piping, and valves. D. Water supply systems for cross connections. E. External bonding of the pump motors, blowers, and heaters. F. Conduit, visible electrical components, and the operation of underwater lighting, ground fault circuit interrupters, and timer assemblies. G. Permanently installed handrails and ladders. H. For the presence of child-safe barrier provisions. And I. For the presence of entrapment prevention components. Section 3.2, the inspector shall A. Describe 1. The type of pool or spa. 2. The primary interior finish material. 3. The type of filter. 4. The type of child-safe barrier provision. 5. The type of cleaning system. 6. The energy source for the heater, if it's present. B. Operate the system using normal operating controls. And C. Open readily openable access panels provided by manufacturer or installer for routine homeowner maintenance. Section 4. General limitations and exclusions. 4.1. General limitations. A. Inspections performed in accordance with these standards are visual, are not technically exhaustive, and will not identify concealed conditions or latent defects. Section 4.2. General exclusions. A. Inspectors are not required to report on 1. The life expectancy of any component or system. 2. The causes of the need for a major repair. 3. The methods, material, and costs for correction. 4. The suitability of the facilities for any specialized use or the enclosures for systems, components, or of the equipment. Section 5. The condition of components that are not visible and or readily accessible. 6. Compliance or noncompliance with applicable regulatory requirements, building codes, or manufacturer instructions, drawings, and specifications. Number 7. Any component or system which was not observed. 8. The presence or absence of pests such as wood-damaging organisms, rodents, or insects. 9. External bonding of equipment or components other than pump motors, blowers, and heaters. 10. Cosmetic items, underground items, or items not permanently installed. Number 11. The safety of use of any pool or spa component. 12. The adequacy of operation, maintenance, and use of the pool spa of any component. 13. Whether any item, material, condition, or component is subject to recall, controversy, litigation, product liability, or other adverse claim or conditions. 14. The structural integrity of any system or component. 15. The adequacy of system and component design and of filters and heaters. 16. The adequacy of child-safe barriers and of entrapment prevention components, nor the conformity of these barriers or components with local codes and ordinances. 17. Equipment component compatibility. 18. Flow rates and high or low pressure conditions. 19. Leaks in the shell or underground components. 20. Geological and soil conditions. 21. The strength, adequacy, efficiency, or safety of any system or component. Those were all things that we're not required to report on. B. Inspectors are not required to observe component interiors that are not readily accessible. That was number 1. Number 2 is offer warranties or guarantees of any kind. 3. Calculate the strength, adequacy, efficiency, or safety of any system or component. Number 4. Enter any area or perform any procedure which may damage its property or its components or be dangerous to the inspector or other persons. 5. Operate any system or component which is shut down or otherwise inoperable. 6. Operate any system or component which does not respond to normal operating controls. 7. Move personal items, equipment, plant life, soil, snow, ice, or debris which obstructs access or visibility. 8. Determine the presence or absence of any suspected hazardous substance or irritants, including but not limited to noise, toxins, molds, algae, allergens, organisms, carcinogens, electromagnetic radiation, radioactive substances, combustibles, corrosive or reactive chemicals or contaminants, or the adequacy of the storage facilities that contains them. 9. Determine the safety of use of any pool or spa component. 10. Dismantle any system or component. 11. Predict future conditions including but not limited to failure of components. 12. Project operating costs of components. 13. Perform any act or service contrary to law or regulation. 14. Perform architectural, engineering, or surveying services, or to confirm or evaluate such services were performed by others. 15. Perform any trade or professional service other than required in these standards. 16. Operate systems when weather conditions or other circumstances may cause equipment damage. 17. Test or operate valves and automatic safety controls. 18. Come into contact with pool or spa water to examine the systems, structure, or components. 19. Test, operate, or evaluate electric resistance heaters. 20. Determine the temperature fluctuation, rate of temperature rise, or the time needed to obtain hot water of any pool spa heater. 21. Test, operate, or evaluate water features, fountains, diving and jumping boards, slides, and similar play equipment, or evaluate the suitability of the pool or spa for the use of such equipment, or for activities such as diving. 22. Test, operate, or evaluate timers, low voltage or electronic controls, stray voltage, thermostats, heating elements, solar, and other alternative energy heating systems. 23. Evaluate water chemistry or clarity or presence or absence of bacteria or algae. 24. Operate systems including backwash, aerators, automatic cleaners, automatic water fills, water treatment, or chemical dispenser systems. 25. Evaluate the interior of components and filters including filter cartridges and related components and accessories or backflow prevention devices. 26. Evaluate the condition of manual or the condition and operation of automatic pool or spa covers. 27. Observe underground items and items not permanently installed. 28. Determine the differential between original construction and subsequent additions or modifications, or evaluate out-of-level conditions. The glossary for the pool section. Automatic safety controls are devices designated and installed to protect systems and components from high or low pressures and temperatures, electrical current, loss of water, loss of ignition, fuel leaks, fire, freezing, or other unsafe conditions. A child-safe barrier is a component such as a fence or a door or a window alarm that helps restrict access to the swimming pool or the spa. The client, again, is a customer who contracts with an inspector for their swimming pool and or spa inspection. A component is a readily accessible and observable part of a system. The coping is the top sections around a swimming pool or spa perimeter, capping the structural walls of the pool and spa. Cosmetic items are defects that are superficial and that do not significantly affect a component's ability to function properly. A cross connection, again, is any physical connection or an arrangement between potable water and any source of contamination. Dangerous or adverse situations are situations which pose a threat of injury to the inspector and those situations that require the use of special protective clothing or safety equipment. Describe. Report in writing a system or component by its type or other observed characteristics to distinguish it from other components used for the same purpose. Dismantle is to take apart or remove any component, device, or piece of equipment that is bolted, screwed, or fastened by other means and that would not be taken apart or removed by a homeowner in the course of normal household maintenance. Electronic controls are digital, computerized, low voltage, or solid state equipment operation management devices. Entrapment prevention components is a component such as a suction cover installed with the swimming pool or spa water circulation system that helps prevent a person from being held underwater at a suction outlet. Engineering is any professional service or creative work requiring education, training, and experience and the application of special knowledge of the mathematical, physical, and engineering sciences. Evaluate by appropriate persons means examination and analysis by a qualified professional, tradesman, or service technician using techniques and or expertise that are beyond the scope of inspection performed in accordance with these standards. Immediate major repair is a major defect, which if not quickly addressed will be likely to do any of the following. 1. Worsen appreciably. 2, cause further damage, or 3, be a serious hazard to health and or personal safety. The inspector is a person certified as a home inspector in the Arizona Board of Technical Registration, qualified to inspect pools and spas. Installed means attached or connected, such that the installed item requires tools to remove. A major defect is a system or a component that is unsafe or not functioning. Normal operating controls are devices such as thermostats and switches intended to be operated by the homeowner. To observe is the act of making a visual examination of a system or component and reporting on its condition. Readily accessible means available for visual inspection without requiring the removal of personal property, dismantling, destructive measures, or any action that will likely involve risk to persons or property. Readily openable access panel is a panel provided for homeowner inspection and maintenance that is readily accessible within normal reach and can be removed by one person, not sealed in place by paint usually. Shutdown is a state in which a system or component cannot be operated by normal operating controls. A structural component is a component that supports non-variable forces or weights, dead loads, and variable forces or weights, live loads. A system is a combination of interacting or interdependent components assembled to carry out one or more functions. Technically exhaustive. An inspection is technically exhaustive when it involves the use of measurements, instruments, testing, calculations, and other means to develop scientific or engineering findings, conclusions, and recommendations. Unsafe is just a condition in a readily accessible installed system or component which is judged to be a significant risk of personal injury during normal day-to-day use. The risk may be due to damage, deterioration, or improper installation. Now this goes over a lot of the things that we're supposed to look for. We need to tell the homeowner or the home buyer what we see and describe it to you. So if you have any questions about your home inspection report or what to expect at your home inspection, you can go through this, the standards of practice, kind of give you a better idea of what's expected out of us and what you can expect from us. So I'm Home Inspector Dan with BPG Inspections in Phoenix, Arizona. Give me a call. Home inspections, pool and spa inspections, termite inspections, infrared, moisture. We do it all. There's 5 of us BPG inspectors in the valley, but call me first. All right. Have a good day.